Am I the a-hole for refusing to lie to cover up what my mom realized about me? When I, 16 female, was 10, I lost my dad. My parents were in a transitional period, as my mom's parents called it, in the weeks prior to his death. What I think that means is they were trying to figure out how to divorce without fucking me up. But I thought it was pretty clear my parents' relationship was done. They hadn't seemed happy in so long, and I don't remember them being affectionate with each other. Within a year of my dad dying, my mom met Harvey, and they were dating for 2 years when she introduced me and him. He seemed okay. I wasn't like, oh my god, so excited to have my mom dating someone. But it was fine. Mom asked me what I thought, and I told her he seemed okay and she was really happy, which was nice. She asked me if I thought he'd make a good bonus dad, and I told her I hated how that sounded. We talked, and she admitted she wanted to pick someone I could see being the new father figure in my life. She said it didn't have to be an only dad thing, but even if I loved someone enough to think of them as a second dad, I told her that wouldn't happen, but I'd be fine with Harvey sticking around and being married to her if she wanted that. We went to therapy and Harvey eventually joined us, and by the time we were done, I was almost 15 and they were married and Mom was pregnant. My mom had 2 kids in the last 18 months. My half-brother is 17 months old and my half-sister is 3 months old. Things were kind of crazy when my half-brother was born, so Mom didn't do any kind of party or celebration of his birth. Since she and Harvey made sure they won't have more kids, Mom decided to throw a party to celebrate the kids being born. So, this is where I should say that I'm pretty indifferent to the babies. I know they're technically my half-siblings, but I don't really feel anything toward them. Honestly, it makes me sad that I was the only kid my parents had together, because I think it would have been nice to have someone who's been there with me through my parents' relationship breaking down, Dad dying, and Mom remarrying and starting a family with Harvey. But I just don't see my half-siblings the way I imagine seeing a full sibling, because we only share one parent, because I'm so much older, and because our experiences will always be so different. I don't hate them, but I can't honestly say I love them. During the party for the babies, I got kind of tired of faking being happy and enthusiastic about it, so I went upstairs for a while and was talking to my best friend. Apparently my mom overheard and she talked to Harvey afterward and was devastated because she has realized I don't feel all warm and fuzzy about the babies, and I'm not really happy to have half-siblings. She realized I do see them as half, and that hurt her a lot because she assumed I would see them as simply siblings. Harvey told me what Mom found out, and he told me to lie my ass off so Mom will think she misunderstood and will go back to being happy. When I said no, he told me I'm being so selfish. Am I the a-hole?
If it's taken them that long to realize, I'd say you were putting on a good show. Maybe it's time for more family therapy? Edit, I meant therapy for a safe space to talk, not that OP needs more.
Not sure if that would really help. Maybe some for just me and Mom, but even then it's hard for me to imagine it would help much. I'm sure my mom will be hurting even with more therapy for the 2 of us.
But you obviously feel like you can't talk to your mom, so therapy could help with that.
I guess. I'm not sure I'd ever be totally comfortable talking to her about this. I know it wouldn't make her feel good.
Not the a-hole. I personally think that given the whole situation, you are entitled to your feelings. Plus, you being so much older than your half-siblings makes it difficult to have a good connection with them, being from a different generation at this point. You also have all these years been nice and cordial to them. You did not treat them badly or bully them. You were just slightly indifferent. Will counseling help your mother overcome and understand this? Maybe. Was Harvey wrong to ask you to lie about your feelings? Absolutely. In a current world where people tend to build their lives in lies, it is refreshing to see a young person, as yourself, hold to their truth. Don't ever change that.
Yeah, that's what's getting me, is being asked to lie. That will just build resentment towards husband, mom, and new siblings. This needs to be discussed, and the mom needs to realize that she cannot force the relationship. OP is gonna probably be gone and off to college, and what would actually hurt the 2 youngest would be if their parents build up this false narrative about their relationship with OP in their heads, only to be met with a very different reality. OP, not the a-hole. You can tell your mom that you're happy for her and that she's finding new happiness. and that as long as she still loves you and shows it, you'll still be happy yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
Not the a-hole. Sometimes full-blood siblings aren't warm and fuzzy with each other either, speaking from experience.
Exactly, especially with that age difference.
You shouldn't lie. Your mom sounds like she still lives with guilt in how you were raised. So in her mind, she's trying to make it better. That's not your job, though, to make her feel better. She needs to accept the way you feel and not make you feel like there's anything wrong with it. No a-holes here except your stepdad. He needs to quit guilting you.
Am I the a-hole for not backing up my wife? I have a disability which makes me unable to work or study. I could hardly graduate high school, and college wasn't even an option, and I just couldn't have a job. Lucky for me, I was born in a very wealthy family, and I have a supportive dad. He gave me a simple job at one of his businesses, and he pays me $40K, which I believe is very generous because I basically do nothing. When I was 20, I got a girl pregnant. It was an accident. My dad was again very supportive. After my daughter was born, my dad allowed me to move out and live at one of his other houses. He hired a nanny and maids to help me care for my daughter. He also paid for every expense related to my daughter. He never actually gave me money for this, but whenever my daughter needs anything, I call my dad and he will provide it. This has continued until today when my daughter is 16. My dad spoils her with everything she wants and needs. I have never spent a penny on her because my dad takes care of everything. Anyway, a few years ago I met the love of my life. She has 2 kids, 16, 13, from a previous relationship. We got married a few months ago and they moved in with us. The problem is that my kid and hers have very different lifestyles because my dad pays for my daughter's luxury lifestyle while I can't afford the same for my stepkids. A few weeks ago, my wife decided to confront my dad about the favoritism and how differently he treats the kids and asked him to start treating them all equally. My dad got really angry and started yelling at her, saying things like, "How dare you say that when you are living rent-free at my house and driving my car and I support one of your kids, and now you expect me to pay for your other kids?" I apologized to my dad and told him that I appreciate everything he has done for me and my daughter, and I don't expect anything else from him. When we left, my wife started crying, saying I should have backed her up because this is so unfair to her kids. She called me an a-hole.
Insults and other crap aside, your dad has no obligation to help your wife or your stepchildren, especially when you just married recently, so any demands from your wife are just entitled and unreasonable. In-laws should want to help. They are not obligated. Are you sure she married you and not your dad's money because of how she acts out? In general, you should back your wife, but she also can't just talk to your dad about finances without asking your opinion first. So did she ask about it before confronting your dad? If she just decided that it's time to squeeze more money from your dad for her children that have no real relation to your dad, and you had no knowledge about this, then, not the a-hole, she got what she wanted, the truth. And if she wants so badly to give more to her kids, then she can work harder and earn more and not expect that your dad will just hand money to them for nothing. She lives for free, and all money that she earns could potentially be given to her kids, but I doubt she wants it. It is much more convenient to ask your dad.
Yes, and it's not like her kids are neglected or anything. They have everything they need. They just don't get to go to private school or fancy trips with my daughter or things like that.
This woman seems to have thought she was marrying into a wealthy life. Did she know the situation when you got married, that you and your daughter are fully supported by your dad? If she did know, not the a-hole. If she thought you were independently wealthy and owned your own property and would be supporting her and her kids, you are the a-hole.
Well, she knew my income. I never lied.
So she didn't know you were fully supported by your dad?
She knew I live at his home and drive his car. I just never really told her that he supports my daughter.
But she saw that you don't make much money. She saw all the things your daughter had, which you clearly were not paying for, and all of the things that your dad gave you. So she knew. That's simple math. And she clearly thought she was going to marry into that and start sucking off of the same money hose. I'm sorry, but you were taken. You need to wake up and open your eyes.
Everyone sucks here except kids. You for not fully disclosing to your wife how things worked. She probably thought that it was either your daughter's mother funding the lifestyle, or that you're wealthy and not reliant on your father, or have a trust fund. Your wife for acting entitled. Your father for yelling at your wife, though only just barely am a hole. She shouldn't be acting like that at all.
I'm not sure Grandpa is even a light a-hole for yelling either. He doesn't exactly sound the type that does all of this for his disabled son and sticks him in a shanty house in a crappy neighborhood, which already means she's getting benefits from him for living rent-free in a probably very expensive neighborhood. I can kind of get why OP, but his situation would be no different. If it was Mom versus Grandpa, she still wouldn't be entitled to Mom's money either, and OP says he was honest about what he makes specifically.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.